I'm Scott Fishman.
I'm John Dwoskin.
And this is the 7-Minute Salesman.
Welcome, everybody.
Good morning, John.
Fish, good morning. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great, as always.
Sorry, I was just getting my dog, Cooper.
What's up, Cooper?
What's up, Cooper? Good. Yeah, it's a great morning. It's a great morning. It's a great morning to talk sales and talk to our, loyal listeners and give them some tips for the week.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit offline, and it's kind of funny how these things line up. Coincidentally, you wrote an article this past few weeks.
I did. I wrote an article that got published in Forbes, and it's called Pause and Say Thank You. And, I think it's just a really good article I find a lot of times, sometimes people simply forget to say thank you. And I see it a lot of times as a business coach when I'm in companies. People think that almost saying thank you is a sign of weakness, or they just forget, or they assume that somebody knows they're appreciative of their work. But it's just really, I wanted to just highlight the importance of really just kind of, remembering other people and giving their thanks.
Yeah. And the coincidence part comes in where I actually came to you this morning. I said, hey, I was coaching some calls, and I was listening to some folks who we're missing some simple stuff. We're missing the P's and Q's, the P's and carrots of the conversation.
Yeah.
We're missing that stuff. And it's a simple win that we can get. It's a simple fix as well, because it should be, as humans, it should be ingrained in us to say that stuff since we're kids. But I think sometimes, like you said, we forget, or we take for granted that someone knows that we're grateful. And in the please part too. Yeah.
And what you were talking about, and the word you use, which I really like, is just being courteous. I think today's episode is worth diving into, at least from our perspective, what courteous is, and what gratitude is, and what thankfulness is. Because if done right and from the heart, you can really build, in my opinion, if not double and grow your business significantly by just taking a pause and remembering these things.
Right, because we're in sales, and the biggest thing to remember is that we can't sell without a buyer. And if we don't say the right things, or we don't act the right way when we're in a meeting or on a call, people are going to run from us. People run from pain, and they run towards pleasure, right? So if we're not giving them a pleasant conversation, if we're not giving them an entertaining meeting, if we're not making them feel good about what we're doing together, then they're going to avoid us the next time we call, or they're not going to set that second appointment, third appointment, fourth appointment, or the all-important closing appointment.
Right.
So we really do need to make sure that they have an enjoyable feeling about us and around our products.
Absolutely. And, Maya Angelou who is just a brilliant everything. One of the things she always is noted for is saying people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's the foundation of all this, just gratitude and thankfulness and being courteous. So let's dive in, maybe, Fish, to some examples. Well, so you said you were on some coaching calls, so maybe you can start.
Yeah. I was actually coaching some of our customer service folks on some calls, because we're injecting more sales into some of what they're doing. And I noticed that they would hang up the phone. The person on the other end, who is the customer, would say thank you. They'd say you're welcome, and the call would end. So think about the dynamic there. We're actually trying to make the customer feel good about working with us, right? So they're saying thank you, and we're saying you're welcome, as if we're doing them a favor doing business with them.
Right. Let's highlight that for a second. It used to be, and it's not this way anymore. I don't think it could be, but it used to be that it was. I want to use the word mandatory. I can't say that for certain, but that I'm almost for certain that AT&T had to have the last line, right? It had to be. Thank you for, hey, thanks so much. Hey, thank you for calling AT&T. Well, I appreciate your time. Well, thank you for calling AT&T. It always had to end, from what I understand, with, and I don't know if it's that way anymore, thank you for calling AT&T. But
oh my goodness. So
yeah.
so really, if you ever have to call AT&T folks, you could totally mess with them. Just keep saying things so they
Right.
keep saying things back.
So what did you say to this person? It's like, that's what we're talking about today, 7-minute community, which is, it sounds simple and it sounds like a nuance, but a lot of times it's you're welcome, and that person's off to the next call, the next to do, the next this, the next that. When really what we're talking about, it shouldn't take, and it really doesn't take a lot of coaching. It just takes a lot of remembering, and
Right.
it takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically what I did is I talked about the fact that words matter, just
Well
like
said.
we're saying, Maya Angelou, the line, people remember how you make them feel, but the words do matter. And it's all about how we do things. I used to harp on that years ago. I would say, when people would say, let me get one of my guys to call you, and be like, well, I don't technically work for you, like that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, because you're saying my guy, like someone that works for me, when really it was one of our outbound call reps that was saying that to get me as a banker on the phone. Same type of deal with this. It's, we're saying you're welcome to them, like we're doing them a favor.
Right.
And we need them more than they need us. They are the customer. Without them, we don't make money. Without us, they can go someplace else and get our product or service.
Right.
So it's all about just the feels. And if we're making them feel as if, they're not important to us, or they're not the most important person on that phone call, we are the most important person on the phone call, then we're losing and we're doing it wrong.
Absolutely. And I just want to highlight one thing. There's a big difference between thanks and thank you. And not, it's subtle, but when you talk about words matter, thanks is pretty easy to say. But if you take an extra pause and just say, hey, if I were to say, hey, Fish, thanks, that's like, it sounds like just normal talk. But if I say, hey, Fish, thank you, it usually leads with a pause and a line after that. That's like, hey, Fish, thank you for, I think every time we talk, not to talk about myself, but I'm always like, hey, Fish, thanks for editing these podcasts. Thank you for editing these podcasts. I appreciate it. You're like, stop thanking me.
Yes, I don't work for you, asshole.
But no, no, but I mean it, because it's a lot of work, and I don't know how to do it. But it forces you almost, when you say thank you, to give, another line of appreciation just fluidly.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree. No,
Yeah.
I totally agree. And that's, I guess the big thing that I'm getting at is, with everything that I wanted to talk about, is just, if this was the only customer that you had, if you hadn't made a sale all month and it was the end of the month and you were like, God, if I don't make one sale to save my life, you would be super thankful. You would be doing everything in your power to make them feel as special as you could. Instead, we treat everybody that we talk to as if they're just another number. And I'm not saying we treat everyone like that, but instead we go ahead and sometimes we do treat them as if they're just another number. They're not that important to us, when really they are. And we need to treat everyone like they're that one deal for the month, that one last shot we have at making quota, that one last shot we have at making our mortgage payment, our rent, our car payment, being able to afford a Starbucks. We have to treat everybody as if they are gold.
Well, and let's dive into that a little bit more, Fish, because I love that, because when any salesperson starts out in sales, they're grinding, right? Regardless of where you start and how you're generating leads, you're grinding, and then you're learning, and you're so grateful and thankful and appreciative and so proud of yourself when you finally get that call back or that first sale. That's the energy I think you're talking about. That's the energy that you need to bring to every call, every day, to every person, before you get on the call, during the call, and really not only when you end the call and throughout the call, but after the call. Always kind of let that gratitude shine through.
Yeah.
Right.
John, I was just going to say, it's a funny thing. We're sitting here, we're talking for, almost 10 minutes now about saying thank you. Like, it's such a simple thing,
Right.
but it's so important. It is. I mean, it's blowing me away. I thought this would be like a 2-minute conversation and we'd move on to something else. And we're hammering it home because I think it needs to be hammered home.
Right. And I agree. Listen, this is great timing. Thanksgiving is around the corner, right? It's our time to
Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Let's change it to thank you giving.
Okay.
But it's around the corner, and it's a good time to reflect. And so if we channel this now, let's look at our top clients, our top 10, 20, 30, whomever our database of clients are, how we market to our clients. Make sure that when, if you're a salesperson, I'm making a list, checking it twice, of my top clients, and I'm calling them to just maybe say hello and thank you for your business. Thank you for everything. Here are a couple of things I've learned from you through the year. I really appreciate your business, and just let them know that. They probably, I would say most don't know it, and if they do, they need a reminder.
Yeah. Well, think about just ways we can say thank you. It's so simple. I mean, there's a lot of free, easy ones. An email, a text. I mean, those go a long way. But how about something? Think about what our grandfathers would have done. They would have sent a letter. How often do you actually send a handwritten thank you card to a client? Not that often, I'm assuming. It goes a long way. I actually had to get in contact with someone this past week, and I said, you know what? I'm not sending just a letter. I actually wrote out an email. I printed the email, and I sent it via UPS. So they had to open it. Like, who doesn't open up a UPS package?
That was good, yeah.
I was like, I need them to see this, so I'm going to send it. Kind of like internally, if I want someone to really read an email, what I do is I send the email, then I recall it. Because everyone wants to see why an email was recalled, because they're like, oh, John screwed up. He sent this email. What was in it? So I always will send an email, then hit recall, and then everyone always reads it. So it's kind of a little trick I do, just kind of like the UPS thing.
Right. UPS is a good one. And I think also on the handwritten note, if you don't have custom stationery, get it. I'm a big fan of, co-branding yourself with your business, but sometimes just a piece of custom stationery with just your name on it, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a lost art. That's a lost art. And I don't do that enough, and I should. And I actually have it in my calendar on Sundays that I should write 2 handwritten notes, but sometimes it just gets away with me and I don't. And this is a good reminder for me. I'm going to get back on that.
Right. So we just talked a lot about how to end a call, how to end a conversation, how to end a meeting with thank you. And the opposite side of that, the bookend to that, would be how we open a conversation. And I think that's something that's very important as well, because we're going into somebody. If it's a call, we don't know what they're up to. We don't know if they're in the middle of if they're on the treadmill and answering the phone on their fancy Apple Watch, or if they're in the middle of another meeting, which I don't think people actually answer the phone in front of meetings. I think that's a huge smokescreen. Yeah. But that's another story. But we never know what they're doing in their life. So how we start our conversation is very important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think thanking people for their time. I think something that I'm always conscious of are other people's time. And I think thanking people for their time is really important. And you brought up some really good points. And I think, if we can give them any other additional things to do, I would say for the next 30 days, make a commitment to say thank you to one person every single day for 30 days. Sounds easy, very difficult to do. And just remember to pause and just say thank you and show your gratitude, and even go out of your way to thank the people that have been really important in your life and who just maybe need a reminder.
Well, John, I'm going to get a head start on that and say thank you for doing this episode with me. It's been fun.
Yeah. Fish, well, thank you. I mean, thank you for, decades of friendship, but also I think we're almost at 100 episodes of this. And, it's been a blast. And I'm excited for 2020 because we got some exciting things in the work. So thank you. Thank you.
You got it. And some extra credit. Thank you, 7-minute Sales Minute community.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. It's been a blast, talking kind of to all of you. And we get continued great feedback, and I'm very appreciative of, I know everybody doesn't have a lot of time. So to take time to listen to this podcast has been great. Continue to give us feedback, and thank you for your loyalty.
And here's one last pro tip as we end this one. John, this is something that someone who is a mentor of mine had mentioned years ago.
Yeah.
When you're in a call and it's going sideways and you're kind of putting pajamas on a Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know those calls, how they go.
Sure.
Thanking someone for their time is a great way to end the call.
That's a good one.
John, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Fish.
Have a great day, everybody.
Good day. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Now, no excuses. It's time to put everything you listen to into action. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop listening and doing nothing with this information. Take this information, implement it into your day, kick some ass, grow your business, grow your sales, make more money, have more fun, have a better life, period. The end.
What he said.